So I just decided to voice this one over because I wasn't really in the mood to type it. But this is a topic I've been wanting to cover in more depth for a little bit now, and that is Kong versus Ghidorah. Now, most of you may find this topic somewhat meaningless to cover, but for those of you who think Kong is the victor here, let's just start this up, shall we? So, I will be covering Kong, but I will also include Skar King since some people who I'm not really gonna call out are saying even he would beat Ghidorah. So starting off with Scar, I'm just gonna use two scenes to show which one has better strength. Yeah, Scar couldn't even move. Evolved Godzilla, who most likely weighs less than G19, who Ghidorah dragged to the stratosphere. I'm not really seeing a good comparison here. Uh, Next category, speed. I would give reaction speed to Skar King since he can react to Godzilla's breath, which Ghidorah can also do, but he can also blitz Kong, who can also react to it. I mean, Ghidorah has good reaction time, but I would still give Skar King the edge in this category. Travel speed, I would give that to Ghidorah since a single flap of his wings can cover his whole body length, which is 521 feet, in about 1 second. You can put that in miles per hour for yourself if you want. Agility, that will also go to Skar King. Stamina, I would give that to Ghidorah since he did fight Godzilla for hours and almost killed him until Godzilla himself got another amp. While Skar King was fighting Godzilla for a shorter period of time, well, not really fighting, kind of just getting slapped around the place. Durability. Now, this is where too many people are saying that Skar King tanked a 20 times stronger atomic breath. Now, I'm just gonna point out that it barely touched his back, especially considering the angle it was coming from. But if you don't want to take my word for it, you can either, watch the scene yourself, or we can use Kong as our comparative agent of sorts. So ask yourself the question, who is more durable, Scar King or Kong? And why am I asking this? Remember this? Even though it was for a split second, this blast, with a weaker breath, keep in mind, was still more direct and left a rather significant scar on Kong's back, clearly visible in GXK. I'll probably just have it on the screen right here. Now look at Scar's back after he was hit. Virtually fine. And I doubt anyone out there is going to say that Scar King is more durable than Kong, because if you do, I can't help you there. So yes, with this along with the fact that all you really need are eyes to see Scar was barely touched in the first place, then he should have some kind of damage considering that Kong, who is more durable than him, has damage from a weaker version of the atomic breath. Ghidorah, on the other hand, actually tanked the old atomic breath point blank for a longer period of time than Kong did, with only some minor burns instead of a massive scar. And just remember how Scar King died and how Ghidorah was imprisoned, and Ghidorah was still alive after that. IQ, that undoubtedly goes to Scar King. Ghidorah might actually have an edge in battle IQ, considering he knows, when to make the right move, how to make it. Well, Scar King kind of just brings out Shimo whenever he's fumbling in battle, which happens a good amount of the time. With that out the way, Scar King's agility would only get him so far. I doubt he would be able to dodge three gravity beams at the same time, and considering those beams were able to burn Godzilla's skin, Godzilla, who in pretty much any of his forms is indeed more durable than Scar King, um, I would say Scar King is literally cooked here. Also, considering the fact that if Scar tries to pull Ghidorah, Ghidorah will just pull back and send Scar flying, just like what happened with Godzilla. Considering Ghidorah's necks are relatively strong, Scar has literally nothing to injure Ghidorah, who took an oxygen destroyer that left Godzilla in critical condition. He also took an amp to Godzilla's breath, Shimo's frostbite blast, which imprisoned him, all of which did little to no damage. Meanwhile, Skar King's best AP feat was like cutting Kong's hand, and Kong's skin and flesh are relatively easy to cut. And Ghidorah again almost killed Amped G19, who is leagues above Skar King. And now let's move on to, pretty much everyone's favorite ape, Kong. Now, it would actually be somewhat of a similar outcome to Skar King, but there are still some things in need of clarification. So Kong is strong for sure, but his strength feats are still below Ghidorah's of dragging Godzilla to the stratosphere. Meanwhile, Kong just moved Godzilla like a few meters. Again, reaction speed I would give to Kong, and travel speed to Ghidorah, IQ to Kong, battle IQ to Ghidorah, since Kong has, made a couple of reckless moves. Uh, like while he's fighting Godzilla, he jumped on his back. And the fact Ghidorah is far more experienced, that will also play a part here. Now, there is the argument that since Kong took the amount of energy he needed to light up Las Vegas for a week from the heaves, he could take Ghidorah's gravity beams easily. Now, while he did take those levels of energy, it was to restart his heart. And studies show that in that scenario, with a defibrillator, which would restart a person's heart, if it was used on a person who is conscious and isn't in need for it, it could potentially kill them. So if Kong were to take those energy levels again while conscious, he could possibly die. And also the fact that the beams were hot enough to burn Godzilla's skin again, which would definitely be enough to put Kong in some trouble and some pain. Ghidorah would most likely heal from any injuries Kong throws at him. He could potentially catch one or two of Kong's attacks, but I don't know about that one for sure. But if Ghidorah grabs Kong, he could very well strangle him like Skar King, but this time Kong wouldn't really be able to shoulder flip his opponent since Ghidorah's necks have a grip of like a giant anaconda and could drag Kong up by the neck to the stratosphere just like with what happened with Godzilla, or just continue to strangle him to death. Kong's axe wouldn't do too much to Ghidorah, considering his regen, and the fact that if Kong goes for one head, he will most likely get attacked by the other two, like what happened with the Drowned Viper. Although not the exact same scenario, when he pinned the Drowned Viper's head, uh, the tail of the Drowned Viper grabbed Kong like a surprise attack. The Beast Glove won't help here either. Many people say that it has lightning powers. First off, this isn't 1962, people. Stop believing everything from the old movies is exactly what happens in the Monsterverse, alright? Secondly, lightning is a natural phenomenon that comes from the direct result of electrostatic discharges through the atmosphere between two electrically charged regions. So this can be from either the atmosphere to the atmosphere or, one from the atmosphere to the ground. And the glove, it just gives off electrical impulses, which we don't really have a specified energy reading for yet, and doesn't really have any serious feats. So yes, Ghidorah can potentially still cause the glove to short circuit and malfunction, and even then, if Kong blocks one beam, two more can just head right at him, each one about 4 times hotter than the surface of the sun. Now, I don't think Ghidorah will be no diffing Kong by any means. I think he will face some challenges, but he will most likely just turn out the victor at the end. And I think that's all for me today, and I'll see y'all later.